Hello, Sis D, and I'm back with another video, and this is the video that you guys have all been waiting for. The Ninth Circuit has denied the FTC's request for an injunctive relief. Microsoft is now free to close the Activision Blizzard deal after 11:59 p.m. tonight. Now, I also see that Tom Warren wrote there, as long as the UK situation can be resolved, they can close around the UK. They don't need the UK to close. They can close the deal and worry about the UK afterwards. I'm pretty sure that is the case, but we'll find out in the coming days anyway. So apparently the deal is over now. Yesterday, I reported in my video that the NASDAQ 100 was removing Activision off of their charts. So that means Monday morning, we're not going to see it anymore on the stock trades, and we're going to see that it's now a part of Microsoft's. So that's it. And I think Microsoft is going to close this deal as soon as possible, because they've been trying to get to this point where they can just close this deal, and now they have that opportunity, and you better believe it, they're going to take that moment. So whether or not the UK and Microsoft can come to an agreement, this deal will be closed in the US, and I guess the other regions in the world that have already accepted Microsoft's merger. This will be official Monday morning. So we're going to go through a few things and how we got to this point. We're going to laugh at some people who thought that this deal wasn't going to go through, that thought that the 11th hour that the FTC actually could have blocked this deal. Now, we've been covering this for quite some time, and you guys know that the FTC, they had no leg to stand on. Their case was weak. They had no facts. The evidence, it was a lack of evidence. It's unbelievable. Yesterday, in front of Congress, they got ripped to shreds. Lina Khan was called a bully. She was asked why she keeps on losing. She was also asked why would she go after an appeal with Microsoft when the facts stated that they had not presented their case, that there was no evidence. Why are you wasting the taxpayers' dollars? As she pushed a lot of the decisions onto her staff members, instead of being a leader and being accountable for your organization's actions. The buck stops with you. You're at the top. You run that organization. You can't say, well, staff said I should do this or staff did that. And no wonder why the FTC's rating is so low within the company. Since she's taken over the FTC, the approval rating has gone down. I believe before they were at an 87% rating. Now they're below 43 or 47, something like that. It's like a 50% drop in approval rating from within the company. It's unbelievable. The Congress also passed yesterday a bill that reduces the spending on the FTC by 25%. I really believe she's incompetent and she should be removed. So let's go through all the things that got us to this point. Now, yesterday, they applied for an appeal with Judge Corley, basically telling her to say that her ruling was not correct. Obviously, the judge is not going to rule against her own ruling, but that was the step that they needed to take in order to go to the Ninth Circuit judges. So it was a procedural thing. It had to be done. It was ridiculous. And the evidence, it just wasn't there for the FTC. And this was said in Congress. He said, like, why are you bringing this to an appeal when you know you're going to lose? The judge was really clear in her ruling. You guys didn't prove your case. You said that this would be bad for consumers, but it actually proved the contrary. It's going to be better for consumers. Why are you wasting taxpayers' dollars? In their filings, they said that the CMA is negotiating with Microsoft, so there's no rush on closing this deal. So they're asking for more time, which was really disingenuous. And I got to be honest with you guys, kind of scummy. I would expect better from an organization as the FTC. So the FTC, in my opinion, and the CMA, they are kind of working hand in hand, but it's kind of funny because it looks like the CMA is going to come out looking a lot better than the FTC. So they filed their documents and Microsoft responded, and this is such a crazy day. Now, this is once again coming from Tom Warren. He says a stinging response from Microsoft to the FTC's emergency motion. The Xbox maker says that the FTC has committed the cardinal sin of antitrust, mistaking a competitive disadvantage for a particular competitor, Sony, with the harm of competition and consumers. Now, this was brought up in the trial. The judge even said to the FTC, it's not about Sony, it's about the consumers. They mentioned Sony like over 80 times and consumers about 11 times. That is a huge difference. Now, if you're representing consumers, you better be talking about them. And this deal actually proved that it's going to be better for consumers because more people are going to have access to Call of Duty than before this deal. It just shows you the incompetence that is over there at the FTC. And Lina Khan, being the leader, she has to be held responsible, and I think she should be let go. So let's actually read Microsoft's filing for the appeal. Now, they go on to say that the FTC now perversely responds to the pro-consumer benefit of increasing access to Call of Duty is somehow anti-competitive because only one subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, will have Call of Duty post-merger. But this is one more subscription service than the FTC's own expert predicted would have Call of Duty absent the merger. In characterization, this unambiguously pro-consumer outcome as an anti-competitive, the FTC commits the cardinal sin of antitrust, mistaking competitive disadvantage for a particular competitor, namely the market-dominant Sony, with harm to competition and consumers. So this is bad, and they actually quoted what the judge said in her ruling. Perhaps bad for Sony, but good for Call of Duty gamers and future gamers. So I don't know what to say to you guys, man. These are the taxpayers' dollars. I saw a post from one of the politicians, I believe her name is Elizabeth Warren, and she went on to say, what a great job that the FTC is doing. You're fighting against big business. And she went on her whole political spiel. And I gotta be honest with you, it was kind of disgusting because clearly you did not watch the case. You didn't see what happened. Because if you did see the case, there's no way you'd be coming out and saying that. And what that says to me is that you really don't care about the consumers. Because if you did, you'd have an invested interest and you'd be up to date on the facts. Now we're going to go over to Florian Mueller's page, and he says Microsoft and Activision have just responded to the FTC's emergency motion for injunction pending the Ninth Circuit appeal. Here's a document followed by my rapid commentary. So you can see the documents here, and if you go to his page and click on the links, you can have access to all of these documents. So we're just going to scroll through it here. He goes on to say it's hard to comprehend that the FTC's arguments for why the motion could not be filed earlier. Now, apparently they filed the motion really late, and I don't understand. If you're going to appeal this thing, do it right away. As soon as you lose. They waited to the 11th hour to try to give the impression to the courts that this is something desperate. This is something that you got to do now. Don't worry about looking at all the facts and what's going on. Just give us this temporary restraining order and we'll explain it to you on Tuesday, or we'll explain it to you in a couple of weeks. Knowing full well that Microsoft has a close date. They're playing games here, just like the CMA. The CMA was saying, okay, we're going to extend this closing to August 29th. I'm going to bet that this weekend they come to an agreement, and this also closes in the UK. I'd be quite surprised if that was not the case. Now, he goes on to say they point out that the FTC brought the emergency motion with the appeals court only 28.5 hours prior to the expiration of the TRO, but roughly 3 days after the district court ruling. Now, I just said that, like, if you're going to appeal right away. The court should not mistake the FTC's litigation gamesmanship for an emergency merit that the court's deviation from the ordinary appellate process. So I'm just going to scroll through the rest here. Like I said, just go to Florian's page. He goes into detail. He gives his expert analysis on these court proceedings. So make sure you follow him over on Twitter. Now we're going to go back to The Verge and their write-up. And I got to say, guys, I'm really excited. I'm so happy that this ordeal is done. So many people were saying that this was going to get blocked. And this was such a journey. So many roadblocks along the way. There were points where we thought this was over. And then all of a sudden the CMA came out of nowhere and blocked this deal. Then we thought it was over again with the FTC. And then they filed a temporary restraining order. Then Microsoft won this court case, and some people were thinking it could have went either way, and I don't know what case they were watching or what facts they were paying attention to, but it wasn't even close. Like the judge said, the FTC actually proved that this deal is better for consumers because more people are going to have access to Call of Duty. And then we thought, that's it, it's over, Microsoft is done, and in the 11th hour, they tried another temporary restraining order, an emergency one. They were trying to get a stay on this because they know Microsoft has a closing date. But if you looked at the facts, and I'm talking to the FTC here, you would see that this was actually pro-consumer. So you're going against what you set out to do. Congress gave them an ass whipping yesterday. They lost 25% of their funding. So the FTC will not be the same after this, and I wouldn't be surprised in the coming months we see that Lina Khan either steps down or she's replaced. Okay, back to Tom's article. He says that the Federal Trade Commission has lost what may be its final attempt to block Microsoft from buying Activision Blizzard. Now, this is their final attempt. There's nothing else that they can do. They were denied. Microsoft can close this deal after midnight tonight. Now, the article goes on to say it's the second loss for the FTC after a U.S. federal judge denies its request for a preliminary injunction earlier this week to block Microsoft from acquiring Activision Blizzard until the conclusion of a separate FTC administration case. The FTC appealed the decision by Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley, and now the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has denied its request for emergency relief to prevent Microsoft from closing the deal until the result of the FTC's appeal is complete. So that is it. You can see the motion right here. The motion for injunctive relief is denied. Game over. Microsoft Xbox wins. And I gotta say, CMA and the FTC, they were playing a dirty game. Now, the article goes on to say this means Microsoft is now free to close its Activision Blizzard deal after a temporary restraining order, part of Judge Corley's order, expires at 11:59 p.m. tonight. Microsoft has until July 18th to close its deal. Otherwise, it needs to renegotiate terms with Activision Blizzard or pay a $3 billion in breakup fees. First of all, they're going to get this deal done as soon as possible. Who knows what type of last-minute shenanigans that the FTC is going to try to pull? I would just get this deal done and over with. Now, he goes on to say that Microsoft might not be able to close the deal immediately, though. There's still the complicated matter of the deal being blocked in the UK. The Competition and Markets Authority in the UK blocked Microsoft's deal early this year, citing competitive fears in the emerging cloud gaming market. Both the CMA and Microsoft have agreed to pause their legal battles to figure out how a transaction might be modified in order to address the CMA's cloud gaming concerns. The UK regulator also warned this week that Microsoft's proposals may lead to a new merger investigation and that the discussions with Microsoft were at an early stage. The CMA has also issued a notice of extension for overall investigation into the deal earlier today, moving the date of final undertaking or final order from July 18th to August 29th. Now, the CMA's extension comes hours after Bloomberg reported that Microsoft is considering selling UK cloud gaming rights to a telecommunications, gaming, or internet company to allow Activision deal to close in the UK. Now, first of all, I got to address a few things here. They can close the deal without the UK. I'm not sure if they're up to date on that fact, but they can close the deal without the UK. Do they want to do that? Of course not. They want this to close worldwide, so they want the UK to be involved. And that's why I think they will come to some type of agreement this weekend. Now, the CMA is saying that they're going to extend the closing date until the 29th of August. Now, if Microsoft were to extend the closing date, they would also approach the date of the FTC's in-house court case. So that's just not going to happen. Now, the FTC's hearing, it's their own judge, like they're the judge, jury, and executioner. It's not going to be impartial, okay? There's going to be bias there. In fact, Lina Khan used in her submissions the FTC's own rulings as a rule of law. Make it make sense. So there's no way that Microsoft is going to go in front of that hearing without this deal being closed. At the very worst that could happen in that hearing, if Microsoft were found in some way contempt, is that they would be fined. But once the deal is done, it is done. So the CMA and the FTC, I don't care what anybody are saying, they are still trying to have each other's back. It's just the CMA is being a little bit more sly, and I think they're going to do the smart thing and work out a deal with Microsoft and get this passed through the UK because they're facing a lot of heat back in the country. The government is not happy with it. And if you look at all the evidence on the CMA case, you'll also see that Microsoft is way ahead over there too. They have no argument. Their argument is even worse over there because the EU, they had some concessions and Microsoft was okay with them. In fact, they allowed it worldwide. So basically, all cloud providers will have a free license for the Call of Duty or the Activision games on the cloud. That's going to help the competitors. That's going to help consumers. That's a good concession. And Microsoft agreed to it. So what is your problem with the cloud? The cloud doesn't exist. It's an emerging market. And the CMA knows that, but they're saying, oh, it's an emerging market, but Microsoft, they're going to get in it and they're going to take it over. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen. You have to let the market play itself out. It's ridiculous. Now, I gotta say that this whole ordeal exposed a lot of people, even some big sites like Kotaku. They were putting out some articles supporting the FTC. And when you look at the merits of the case, the facts, the evidence, it just didn't support the FTC's claim. So for a big organization like that to support the FTC lets you know that they're not for Microsoft, that they're for the opposition. The FTC, they were representing Sony's best interest, and Sony played a good game here. They went into the FTC's ear, told them a bunch of stuff, they gaslit them, and the FTC was off and running. Lina Khan thought that she would have a big win here, a big win over Microsoft. That would have been huge for the FTC. Look, we're big on big tech. We stopped Microsoft, without taking the time to look at the facts and to look at who was gaslighting her. It's ridiculous. I know I've said it multiple times, but she deserves to be let go. She is incompetent. She is a poor leader. A leader takes responsibility. She didn't do any of that. When Congress asked her about things, she referred it to her staff. And that is ridiculous. And she was actually scolded for that. It was quite remarkable to see. Now, if you guys want to see the whole grilling of Lina Khan, I'll link it in the description down below. I did a live stream of it yesterday. It was like 4 hours and 50 minutes. It's a long watch. I do have some commentary on it, but it's a good watch if you want to see what happened to her or you just want to see her squirm and get what's coming to her. Now, I got to say, finally, it's over. It was an incredible ride. It was like a roller coaster. It was like a movie. It really was. I think years from now, they're going to make a movie about this because this case had so many twists and turns. And I got to be honest with you guys, I'm happy that Microsoft came on top. Now we're going to have these games in the Game Pass service. We're going to have access to these games in the cloud. Microsoft is going to be able to compete more effectively against Sony. Call of Duty eventually is coming to Game Pass. Now, Microsoft, I'll give them credit. They're going to honor all of these contracts, and they're going to continue to keep Call of Duty off of Game Pass. I'm not going to lie to you guys. At this point, I might be a little bit petty with what Sony put me through, but the right thing to do is to honor the contracts. I'll be honest about that. And the reason why Sony was fighting this so badly is because they know this is going to help their Game Pass service. Also, they're not going to get that big kickback that they used to get from Call of Duty with all those exclusive deals. There's a lot of IPs within Activision, and we'll get into that another day. My point is, this is a good day for gamers. It's a good day for Xbox gamers, Game Pass subscribers, and for those of us that wanted this deal to go through. Microsoft, Xbox One, it's over. And as I predicted, the FTC will lose again, and that's what happened. And now Microsoft has won. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think about everything. What do you guys think about this historic deal finally being done? That's it. Microsoft is going to sign this into effect as early as Monday morning. What do you think about the CMA? Do you think the CMA will come to an agreement with Microsoft so that they can also close in the UK and avoid an embarrassing loss in front of the CAT tribunal? Also, I want to know if you guys think that Microsoft will close without the UK. I think that Microsoft will close this deal as soon as possible, seeing how hard it was to get to the finish line. I think that Microsoft does want to get a deal done with the UK, but they will go ahead and do the deal in the US if they can't come to some type of agreement over the weekend. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm happy that this is over. Now's a time for us to celebrate and party. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. This was an awesome ride. Xbox One, I'll see you guys on the next one.